Hello, and welcome to Dreamy Tales, a sanctuary where everyone can experience calm and a touch of magic before gently drifting into sleep. Tonight, we invite you on another enchanting journey, a story that helps soothe the mind and nurture a sense of peace. Before we begin, let's take a moment to prepare our bodies and minds for a comforting, restorative rest. Make yourself cozy, and with each slow inhale and long exhale, let the cares of the day gradually slip away. It's not always easy to step back from the day's demands, especially as night falls. Yet, remember, the less we worry about how quickly we'll fall asleep, the simpler it is for our minds to release any remaining tension. Allow the gentle flow of your breathing to wash away lingering concerns, and let the story ahead guide you into a state of deep relaxation. Now, settle in, and let the dreamy atmosphere softly wrap around you. Enjoy this story, and may you drift into a peaceful, restful slumber here on Dreamy Tales. The humid breath of the rainforest enveloped Elias the moment he arrived, his pack still cinched tight across his shoulders, a testament to the journey already undertaken and the anticipation of what lay ahead. Adventure's siren call had lured him to the northeastern edge of the Yucatan, a coastline promising untamed natural splendor. Visions danced in his mind, challenging hikes with newfound companions, languid bicycle journeys bathed in the sunset's glow, the silent wonder of snorkeling amidst kaleidoscopic marine life. Yet, before the wilderness beckoned, stillness called. His foremost desire? To quiet the internal clamor, achieving a state of calm before plunging into the vibrant unknown. After settling the formalities of his arrival at the secluded resort, he approached the concierge desk, where a genial young man named Mateo, attired in immaculate white linen and tan trousers, offered a welcoming smile. Fortune favored him. The resort boasted a spa of international renown. Elias inquired about arranging a treatment. "Allow me to schedule a water journey for you," Mateo replied, his smile deepening with genuine warmth. A water journey. The phrase resonated within Elias, simple, elemental, yet hinting at profound delight. He found himself recalling a whisper from Leonardo da Vinci. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Accepting the earliest opening, Elias noted the perfect timing. It afforded him just enough space to locate his suite, shed his pack, and arrange his few belongings within this temporary sanctuary. Mateo's instructions for the water journey had been precise. Comfortable swimwear beneath the plush white robe provided in his room. Unpacked and suitably attired, Elias navigated his way toward the spa. He passed through a towering glass portal, instantly met by the clean, invigorating scent of eucalyptus. He drew it in deeply, letting the soothing fragrance permeate his lungs, a balm to his traveling spirit. His gaze swept the reception area, absorbing the tranquil aesthetic. Walls whispered in muted earth tones. The floor beneath his feet, a smooth expanse of stranded bamboo. A miniature stream, artfully arranged with smooth stones, meandered through the heart of the space, its gentle murmur over the rocks a liquid lullaby. Elias had frequented many spas, yet this one radiated an unparalleled invitation. Behind the reception counter stood a woman whose dark, expressive eyes contrasted beautifully with her chestnut hair, swept back into an impeccable bun. Dressed in an elegant white uniform, she greeted Elias with an open, warm smile, introducing herself as Isla, his designated guide for the water journey. Isla extended a silver tray bearing a tiny glass filled with a pale green liquid. Room temperature tea, she explained, specially blended to encourage relaxation. Elias took a tentative sip. Cool cucumber and fresh mint mingled on his palate, underscored by an elusive sweetness he couldn't quite place. He finished the delicate portion, returning the empty glass to the tray. With another serene smile, Isla beckoned him to follow. They proceeded down a quiet corridor, passing through an ornately carved wooden door. Along the way, Elias became aware of the subtle soundscape drifting from hidden speakers. Not music, but a delicate symphony of nature. Intermittent bird song woven through the soft rustling of unseen leaves. The water journey commenced officially in a softly illuminated chamber. Isla's voice dropped to a near whisper, though they were quite alone. His initiation, she explained, would be in the sauna. From a nearby cabinet, she retrieved a misting bottle clearly labeled lemongrass water and ushered Elias into a glass-walled enclosure. The interior, crafted entirely from fragrant cedar planks, smelled fresh, clean, and deeply woodsy. 3 tiered benches awaited. Elias selected the middle one, onto which Isla draped a long, pristine white towel. He lay back, face upwards, allowing his body to settle. Soon, the pervasive heat of the sauna began to bloom against his bare skin. Inhaling slowly, deeply, Elias registered the warmth of the air entering his nostrils, a pleasant, penetrating sensation. He closed his eyes, allowing Isla to place a cool, damp cloth gently over them. "A lemongrass mist?" she inquired softly. He smiled his assent, thanking her as she spritzed the fine, cool vapor over him. It was exquisitely refreshing, the aroma divine. Sweet herbs intertwined with bright, crisp citrus. Hila murmured that she would return shortly, leaving the bottle of lemongrass mist within his reach, should he desire more. He lay enveloped in warmth, serenaded by the distant, peaceful rainforest chorus, simply relaxing. Later, a light tap on his arm brought him back. Isla asked how he felt, but his broad, utterly relaxed grin rendered words unnecessary. As he removed the cool cloth from his eyes, he saw the familiar silver tray reappear, this time holding another diminutive glass, the liquid within a vibrant orange hue. Tangerine ginger-infused water, Isla informed him. Elias drank it down, the cool liquid a welcome sensation against his throat, its refreshing touch seeming to radiate throughout his entire being. He rose, and Isla retrieved the lemongrass mister. Aiming it slightly ahead, she released 2 puffs into the air. Elias instinctively moved through the fragrant cloud, inhaling the uplifting scent once more, a surprising burst of pure happiness blooming within him. Isla then gestured for him to accompany her to the next chamber. Here, iridescent tiles, tiny as coins and shimmering with pale blue light, covered every surface, floor, walls, ceiling, even the built-in seating alcoves. At the room's center stood a large glass bowl brimming with ice, perched atop a simple pedestal. Elias took a seat as Isla unfolded a small, damp cotton cloth. Placing it beside him, she scooped a handful of ice, nestling it gently into the cloth's center before gathering the corners and twisting the top tightly. The resulting bundle reminded Elias fleetingly of foil-wrapped chocolates. An ice kiss. Isla named it, seemingly plucking the thought from his mind. She handed it to him, explaining the exfoliating benefits of the cool, textured fabric against the skin. She would return in a little while, she added softly. Elias pressed the ice kiss against his shoulder, gliding it slowly down his arm to his wrist. His body, still radiating warmth from the sauna, responded with invigorating tingles rather than the sharp cold he might have expected. He repeated the process on his other arm, then traced the cool bundle across the back of his neck. By the time he finished, the ice had almost entirely melted, leaving him holding a damp, empty cloth. He draped it over his head, savoring the lingering coolness. Moments later, Isla reappeared, this time bearing a small saucer containing translucent aloe vera gel. She encouraged Elias, through gentle gestures, to apply it liberally. He smoothed the cool, slick gel over his skin with both hands, a lovely contrast to the slightly abrasive texture of the ice kiss cloth. Isla granted him a few more minutes of solitude before returning, with a silver tray and another tiny glass. The liquid this time was a deep, luscious red. Strawberry cinnamon water, Isla announced. A flavor pairing Elias had never encountered. He drank it eagerly, deciding instantly it was his favorite thus far. Next awaited the steam room. This stage of the journey incorporated a special treatment for his face. Isla presented a small jar filled with a light brown clay. Using expressive hand movements, she demonstrated the application, dipping imaginary fingers into the jar, then smoothing the substance across her own face. Taking the cue, Elias scooped out a measure of the clay, rubbing it onto his forehead, cheeks, and chin. It possessed a surprisingly fruity aroma. Pomegranate, Isla explained, rich in antioxidants, hence the fragrance, blended with sea kelp, which lent the mixture its distinctive pale brown shade. As Elias allowed the mask to settle onto his skin, he wondered, why haven't I experienced this before? He could almost feel his skin relaxing, softening beneath the application. The steam room was profoundly dark, its layout mirroring the ice room, yet the coin-sized tiles here were a deep navy blue. Tiny, twinkling lights embedded in the ceiling mimicked a starry night sky. The temperature felt similar to the sauna's heat, but the quality was entirely different. Where the sauna was arid, the steam room was saturated, heavy with moisture. Isla spread a fresh white towel over a tiled chaise longue. Elias lay down, closing his eyes as the warm, moist air enveloped him. Isla carefully placed 2 cool cucumber slices over his eyelids, whispering that she would retrieve him in a few minutes. He used the interlude for further reflection, allowing his mind to empty. The facial mask began to tingle, subtly but pleasantly. It felt good, he mused, to be so thoroughly pampered, breathing in the gentle steam that swirled invisibly around him. Soon, Isla returned, materializing through the mist with yet another offering on the silver tray. Pink this time. A delicious-sounding hibiscus lemonade. Once Elias had drained the glass and placed it back on the tray, Isla motioned for him to follow her onward. They entered a room tiled entirely in pristine white. Overhead, spaced several feet apart, hung two large rainfall shower heads, each accompanied by a dangling beaded metal chain. The shower on the left, Isla explained, offered an invigorating cool cascade, while the one on the right provided warm, comforting streams. He needn't choose, she assured him. He could, and indeed should, experience both. The cool shower proved perfect for rinsing away the lingering aloe vera gel and the drying facial mask, while the warm shower offered pure solace. So comforting was the heat, in fact, that Elias lingered, savoring the sensation. There was no sense of urgency. Isla waited patiently outside until he felt ready to proceed. Emerging from the rainfall shower room, Elias was met with a small glass of fragrant peach tea and a single, soft, cranberry-orange cookie. He popped the cookie into his mouth, consuming it in one delightful bite. It was astonishing how much vibrant flavor could be packed into such a small treat. A childlike grin spread across his face as a fleeting memory surfaced. Cranberry muffins baked by his grandmother during holidays long past. Ela smiled knowingly at his expression, and once again indicated he should follow her to a new area. This, she implied, was the penultimate space, and the smallest they had encountered. Yet, it seemed to synthesize the best elements of the preceding rooms. The floor was warm cedar, echoing the sauna. In the center rested a tiled lounger, reminiscent of the one in the ice kiss room, though this one gleamed in a sophisticated beige hue. Twinkling starlights dotted the ceiling, mirroring the steam room, and the ambient temperature felt utterly perfect. Isla placed a dry towel upon the tiled lounger. This seat possessed a unique contour, subtly different from the others Elias had used. It was, she explained, specifically engineered with zero-gravity principles in mind, designed to alleviate pressure points, particularly in the lower back. Elias knew the ritual now. He lay down, an immediate, pleasant warmth radiating upwards from the heated tiles beneath him. Ela gently placed a delicate lavender-filled pillow across his eyes, and then, for a few blissful minutes, administered a gentle scalp massage. Finally, she draped a light, soft blanket over him, murmuring that she would return later. In this profound quietude, Elias felt his body surrender to a deeper state of relaxation than he had ever known. He rested his hands just below his chest, fingers loosely interlaced, melting into the lounger's embrace. A peculiar paradox emerged. He felt simultaneously heavy, anchored, and yet ethereally light, almost feathery. For the first time in recent memory, his mind was utterly still. Tranquility was not just a concept, but a palpable presence, peace, and the only landscape imaginable. Grateful for an evening devoid of plans, Elias allowed himself to truly release, savoring this precious solitude. He wished it could extend indefinitely. Lying upon the lounger, his sole activity became the simple, profound act of breathing, in and out. Every muscle fiber felt loose, unbound. Even his toes seemed to exhale tension. As minutes drifted by, Elias felt himself letting go further, detaching from the rhythms of his everyday existence, sinking ever more deeply into the lounger's support. He drew a full, conscious breath, feeling his chest and abdomen expand, acutely aware of the rise and fall with each respiratory cycle. Against the subtle backdrop of faint chirps and rustling leaves, his mind remained a sanctuary of quiet. He descended into relaxation, reaching depths previously unexplored. Sleep beckoned enticingly at the edge of his consciousness. Yet for some reason, he didn't succumb entirely, hovering instead in a liminal state, floating on the cusp of wakefulness within a cocoon of cozy hibernation. He welcomed and thoroughly embraced this dreamy daze. Outside the room, the birds continued their gentle discourse. The leaves whispered their secrets. He focused on these sounds, on his own breath, on the subtle fragrance emanating from the lavender pillow resting on his eyes. No thoughts intruded, only pure serenity. His chest rose with another deep, fulfilling breath, then gently fell. Elias lay in perfect stillness, suffused with a calm happiness, content in this cherished moment. His only task, to breathe, in and out. Eventually, Isla entered the room with practiced quietness. She touched his shoulder gently, inquiring if he was awake. Had she arrived merely 2 minutes later, sleep would surely have claimed him. He grinned, the simple act awakening the muscles in his face, signaling his readiness for the journey's culmination. With one hand, she removed the lavender eye pillow. He was delighted to see the silver tray held ready in her other hand. This time, it presented a small ceramic cup of steaming green tea, alongside a granola square generously coated in dark chocolate. She offered them, as she explained they were about to enter the final room. Elias nodded, savoring the twin treats, predictably delicious. En route to the last chamber, Isla described it with quiet enthusiasm. It housed multiple pools, and this phase of the experience, she revealed, came with no time constraints. Elias's eyes brightened at this news. He could, she assured him, spend the remainder of the day there if he wished. Stepping into the final room, Elias beheld 3 distinct, tranquil pools. Each possessed a unique character, differing in temperature, shape, and water features. With a playful twinkle in her eye, Isla likened the pools to a well-known fairy tale. Seeing Elias's curiosity piqued, she elaborated. Some find the plunge pool too cold. The whirlpool, for others, proves too hot. But the last pool, she gestured towards a larger expanse featuring a gentle waterfall and integrated back massage jets, is invariably described as just right. He was free to sample all 3 or linger in just 1 or 2. The choice was entirely his. Elias considered his options. The allure of the just right pool was undeniable. He decided he would begin there, and perhaps, if it lived up to its promise, end there as well. Isla left him then, granting him complete solitude. He entered the water slowly, allowing it to envelop him completely. Its temperature felt almost indistinguishable from his own body heat. Perfect. He swam leisurely towards the back massage feature. Robust streams of water pulsed from multiple spouts set into the wall. Pressing his back against the therapeutic currents, he closed his eyes, reveling in the sensation for several moments. Then, feeling a gentle urge to move, he decided a lap or two would be pleasant. Nothing strenuous, just the simple pleasure of gliding through the water. The gentle resistance felt calming, a liquid reminder to embrace slowness, not just within the pool, but in the broader currents of life. Turning onto his back, he floated effortlessly. With his ears submerged, the ambient sounds of the spa, the birdsong, the rustling leaves faded away. All he could hear was the rhythmic cadence of his own breath, in and out. Elias drifted lazily, sculling gently with his hands and feet in the perfectly tempered water, appreciating the profound solitude. No one else was present. The entire space felt like his private sanctuary. It truly was just right, echoing the simple wisdom of the fairy tale. A quiet reminder, perhaps, that life itself thrives on delicate balance. As he moved almost imperceptibly through the water, he remained anchored by the awareness of his relaxed, even breathing. In and out, in and out. And in that suspended moment, Elias knew he had discovered something more profound than mere peace and tranquility. He had found equilibrium, a perfect balance struck between mind and body, unearthed in the heart of the rainforest. Floating weightlessly, a slow smile spread across his face at the realization. His travels had only just commenced, yet he had already unearthed a precious insight, a sense of centeredness destined to remain with him long after the journey's end. Birdsong spills like liquid melody from the blossoming cherry and pear boughs, as Antoine Dubois, straw hat shading his eyes, pushes open the door of his long, low house. He steps into the morning air, stroking the formidable silver cascade of his beard, his gaze sweeping across the Clos Normand, his sprawling horticultural canvas. Dew clings like tiny jewels to the nascent petals unfurling in drifts of rose, lavender, alabaster, and crimson. A contented sigh escapes him. The vista pleases. Bending, he retrieves a worn leather satchel and a sturdy wooden easel. Down the crunching gravel path he ambles, pausing before a vibrant assembly of peonies, their heads bowed slightly, heavy with bloom. With a painter's narrowed eye, Dubois scrutinizes the pink blossoms, registering the dense layering of their petals. Nearby, the low thrum of a honeybee weaves through the air, which, though carrying the night's coolness, warms perceptibly with each passing moment. Yes, Dubois affirms inwardly, this is the place for today's work. He unfolds the collapsible easel, its tripod feet finding purchase on the gray pathway stones. Kneeling to his satchel, he unfastens the buckle, revealing brushes with neatly trimmed bristles, a smooth wooden palette awaiting its chromatic burden, and an array of oil paint tubes. Even now, decades since their advent, the sheer transportability of these colors fills him with quiet appreciation. Their readiness allows him swift engagement with the outdoors, squeezing vibrant ribbons directly onto canvas or orchestrating new hues upon his palette. To paint amidst the elements, what fellow artists termed en plein air, had been Dubois' devotion since his formative years. The burgeoning artist had logged countless hours gazing over the strands and quays of his coastal hometown in Normandy. He'd become acutely aware of how the ocean's colors transmuted with the day's progression or the weather's caprice. Consider the turquoise or seafoam green waves under a brilliant summer sky, contrasted with the ominous gunmetal gray heralding an imminent squall. Recall the profound navy depths of the sea at twilight, or its absolute inkiness near midnight. Dubois meticulously studied these ephemeral shifts, striving to seize these fleeting variations, these transformations, within his paintings, some executed right there upon the shifting sands. He pursued the capture of impressions, the very essence of a transient moment. Later, when a Parisian critic dismissively labeled Dubois and his cohort mere impressionists, the term unexpectedly resonated. Though intended as scorn, Dubois and his companions, artists like Etienne Martel, Sophie Bellange, and Luc Moreau, embraced it. They dedicated themselves to rendering their perceptions, instant by instant, day after luminous day. Today, a smile touches Dubois' lips. He draws a slow, centering breath, absorbing the chosen scene. His mind drifts back to his first encounter with this land, the terrain destined to become his sanctuary, his personal Eden. In the early 1880s, Antoine Dubois had been aboard a train winding languidly through the French countryside west of Paris, past golden wheat fields tilled by horse-drawn plows and timber-framed houses crowned with thatch. Roughly 50 miles from the capital, his gaze fell upon the hamlet of Valombre, nestled where the Epte and Seine rivers converged. Dubois, ever obsessed with luminosity, watched sunlight fragment and dance across the river's surface in minute ripples, reflecting upwards to cast an ethereal glow upon the leaves of a nearby apple tree. In that instant, a profound recognition settled within him. He was home. By 1883, Dubois had relocated his family to Valombre, securing a cottage and a plot of land he would patiently sculpt into a tranquil botanical haven. The modest dwelling was gradually extended into a singular elongated structure, affording ample space for his family and his studio. He lavished it with color, calculated to delight the eye. A gentle pastel pink for the exterior walls, punctuated by shutters and window frames painted a lively green. Along the facade, Dubois trained climbing roses over a pergola spanning the house's length, while Virginia creeper wove tapestries across the pale stucco. In summer's height, the house, then as now, seemed to dissolve into the verdant embrace of its surroundings. Pink and green saturated the view in every direction, while the house formed the heart of Dubois family life. It was the attendant gardens that truly nourished the artist's spirit with joy and serenity. The land adjacent to the Valombre cottage was initially utilitarian farmland, sparse and unadorned. But Dubois craved flowers, a riot of color and texture he could translate to canvas throughout the year. He planted accordingly. Scarlet poppies, their papery petals whispering in spring breezes, sunflowers craning their yellow and black faces towards the summer zenith, black-eyed Susans competing for the final radiant afternoons of autumn before Normandy succumbed to winter's chill. As one might anticipate from an artist, Dubois often selected plantings based on visual appeal and chromatic harmony, prioritizing beauty above convention. By the early 1890s, sufficient prosperity allowed him to purchase the Valombre homestead and its encompassing lands outright. He then embarked on transforming his permanent residence into the botanical paradise shimmering in his mind's eye. Dubois envisioned raised beds spilling over with blossoms, celebrating the untamed exuberance of nature pursuing its own course. This stood in stark defiance of traditional French ornamental gardens, regimented by strict lines and precise spacing. Dubois' garden, conversely, would flourish freely, an opulent tapestry of contrasting tones and textures. He juxtaposed humble blooms, like delicate white and yellow daisies, with exotic Japanese apricot trees. Arches of green metal trellis spanned a gravel walkway, offering support for cherished climbing roses, their heady perfume already anticipated in his imagination. This garden would become known as the Clos Normand, an irresistible magnet for the artist then, and for visitors now. Dubois would dedicate hours to tending his beloved flora, and when not tending, he was painting them. Now, on this sharp spring morning, his plants stand vibrant and refreshed, beneficiaries of a gentle nocturnal shower. No tending is required today, leaving time purely for painting. Before introducing colors to his wooden palette, Dubois must first prepare the canvas's ground, an even, smooth layer of pale paint, typically lead white or a whisper of gray, applied across the entire surface. Oil paint possesses inherent translucency. When pigments are laid over this luminous ground, they resonate with greater brilliance than they would on a duller, unprimed canvas. This intrinsic brightness became a defining characteristic of his circle's work. Their paintings seemed to emanate light from within. After applying the thin wash of lead white, Antoine turns his focus again to the peonies, dissecting the curve of each leaf, the interplay of shadow and light within the flower's depths, the woody grain of the stem. His observation is relentless, unless pausing to cleanse a brush. His eyes return to the flowers every few seconds. At last, he is poised to commence, dipping his first brush towards the palette. For an artist of such profound scope and experience, one might expect Dubois' palette to be a bewildering spectrum of colors, yet this is not so. With a mere 9 trusted pigments at his disposal, he could conjure any conceivable shade, a testament to his mastery. This sophisticated grasp of chemistry, optics, and color theory imbued his paintings with their enduring power. This morning, his gaze returns to the peonies arrayed in the Clos Normand. They stand regal in their pinkness, voluptuous, exuding fragrance. Dubois smiles, swirling his brush in madder red, his preferred crimson, before incorporating a touch of lead white. The colors bleed into each other as he glances up again at the living flower. He lets out a soft breath. Not quite right, but easily remedied. Another look confirms his subject possesses a subtle violet undertone. His eye travels down the palette to a small pool of French ultramarine, a resonant blue. Swirl, 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 until the pigment on his brush mirrors the complex beauty before him. And then the alchemy unfolds. Upon the primed white canvas, Dubois draws his newly charged brush, its bristles emitting a satisfying whisper across the textured surface. Each stroke is concise, each gesture deliberate. Repetitive dabs gradually coalesce into something recognizable, a single petal belonging to an abundant bloom. The process is unhurried, almost meditative. Dubois becomes aware that his breathing synchronizes with the gentle rhythm of his brushwork. Dab, inhale, sweep, exhale. As time flows, Dubois varies the texture of his strokes, sometimes applying thicker impasto, other times thinning the paint. The resulting surface is uneven, alive, compelling the viewer's eye to dance across it. Soon, little space will remain for optical rest. Every corner will radiate color, brilliant chrome yellow where sunlight showers, deep emerald green in the tendrils of climbing roses, a sophisticated blend of vermilion, cobalt blue, and lead white approximating the broad, petaled clematis. Small, strategically placed areas of contrast amplify the vibrancy. A sliver of green beside a red rose, a purple shadow opposing a golden sunflower. The foundation of this painting will be laid this morning, here in the Clos Normand. Dubois might refine it later in his studio, or perhaps declare it finished, one among many works executed with swift confidence throughout his mature life. In total, it is estimated that Antoine Dubois created over 2,000 paintings, drawings, and pastels, though the precise count remains elusive. He was known, on occasion, to burn or otherwise destroy pieces he deemed flawed. Today's effort, however, is judged a success. Dubois smiles, pausing to appreciate his creation while blotting his damp forehead with a cotton handkerchief. He reaches down, his fingers brushing the velvety softness of a peony petal, before gently settling his satchel back onto his shoulder. For now, a respite is due, a leisurely promenade through his extensive gardens. The wooden easel remains sentinel. Dubois intends to return later this afternoon to capture these same pink peonies under the waning light of dusk. Extracting one of Normandy's famed apples from his satchel, he strolls down a path bisecting the Clos Normand. Perpendicular to a small lane, he inhales deeply, momentarily quieting his pulse, then bites into the crisp red fruit. The taste floods him with simple pleasure. He savors the burst of tart sweet juice while gazing across the road towards his next destination. The sight transports him back several years, to a time when he expanded his garden vision into something novel, ambitious, and deeply inspired. The Clos Normand, with its meticulous design for continuous bloom and visual allure, had initially provided years of artistic sustenance. It was his profound joy, his private treasure. Yet a yearning persisted for more inspiration, more flowers, perhaps even another garden entirely. Maybe across the road? A marshy area existed there, unused save as a watering spot for stray cattle. Once more, Dubois' fertile imagination ignited. He envisioned upon that sodden ground a floating garden, a pond teeming with aquatic life. The impetus for such a venture likely stemmed from Dubois' passion for Japanese culture, a fascination widespread in Western Europe during the late 19th century. He had encountered Asian water gardens depicted in Japanese prints, which he collected almost as avidly as he gathered plants for the Clos Normand. Within a few years, his collection numbered over 200 Japanese woodblock prints. A water garden represented the perfect synthesis of his deepest loves: botany, culture, and, inevitably, art. By 1893, Dubois had acquired the desired parcel and commenced the demanding task of transforming it. By 1895, it already bore a strong resemblance to the renowned sanctuary he approaches today. Crossing the lane and descending towards his Japanese water garden, he enters a world where luxuriant weeping willows drape their fronds over a placid pond. Stands of woody green bamboo fringe the water's edge. Japanese maples and Asian varieties of peonies and wisteria contribute bursts of color. Here, Dubois masterfully fused Asian aesthetics with the Norman landscape. Most striking were the two curved Japanese bridges he commissioned, arcing gracefully over the water. Diverging from tradition, where such bridges are typically vermilion, Dubois painted his a vibrant blue-green. This bridge itself would evolve into a central motif for an entire series of paintings, capturing its elegant curves through all seasons and atmospheric moods. The blazing foliage of autumn, the ethereal mists of a cool winter morning. Yet, captivating as the bridge was, a final element of the water garden soon claimed precedence, not only in Dubois' consciousness, but within his artistic legacy, the water lilies. Standing now at the water's margin, Dubois looks down at the pond's surface, observing the countless green pads that have colonized this aquatic realm. 10, 20, 30, an impossible tally. Some cradle delicate mauve lilies. Occasionally, a small green frog surveys its domain from atop a pad. These water lilies have become Dubois' singular obsession. He nurtures them with the assistance of a dedicated gardener. To confidants, he often declared that his water garden and its lilies could transport him to sheer ecstasy. This profound connection is a primary reason why now, and for the final 3 decades of his life, Dubois seldom ventures far from Valombre. He vastly prefers contemplating the water garden's shifting palette on a spring day, or scrutinizing the pond's surface after a dusting of winter snow. He grew captivated not just by the metamorphosis of light, but by how the slightest disturbance sent ripples across the pond's skin, dissolving the reflections of the water lilies into shimmering blurs of color and ambiguous form. Dubois, his eyes perpetually receptive, now watches as a brisk wind transforms the pond's blue depths into a pool of pale gray. A fallen leaf momentarily obscures a glimpse of the pond bed, casting fleeting black shadows beneath it. Every season, every day, every instant held the potential for a fresh, artistic insight. A new impression demanding spontaneous capture. It is hardly surprising, then, that he would ultimately produce over 250 canvases dedicated solely to these water lilies from his aquatic haven. These works, known collectively as the Nymphaeas series, rank among the most treasured of all Dubois' creations. When encountering his paintings today, it can be easy to overlook their scale, their resonance, their intrinsic meaning. Yet, they bequeathed a significant inheritance to an art world perhaps unprepared for their implications. His approach nudged art closer to abstraction than ever before. It revolutionized conceptions of how light, color, tone, and texture could be rendered, offering new vocabularies for expressing emotions and sensations within the physical medium of paint. Dubois' paintings are undeniably masterpieces, but his garden, too, can be regarded as a magnum opus. These gardens were, and remain, living works of art that birthed creations of their own, and they continue to kindle inspiration in artists today. At this moment, however, Dubois' thoughts are distant from his artistic legacy. He is wholly immersed in the present, in the gardens he has cultivated with devotion, and will continue to paint with equal love. Even now, the sheer beauty surrounding him can steal his breath. As the day concludes, the sun dips behind the willows bordering the water garden. Dubois leans against the solid trunk of a tree he nurtured from its youth. He attunes his ears to the cricket's stridulation and the frog's resonant croak. The moon, ascending softly, will soon mute the garden's customary chromatic riot into subtle gradations of blue, violet, and gray. Darkness approaches. He rises and retraces his steps across the Japanese bridge, ascends the slope to the road, crosses back towards the Clos Normand, seeking repose. Dubois draws one final deep breath, inhaling the lingering perfume of the flowers enveloping him. An owl calls from nearby as he pads up the gravel path once more, entering his house and securing the green door behind him. He bids good night to his cherished garden, his deepest wellspring of inspiration, secure in the knowledge that he will return to its embrace with the morning light.